We are with the Bucs in Tampa today. Tom Brady beginning his 23rd training camp. He and the Bucs, the favorites in the NFC, and Leonard Fournette, there he is. He doesn't look too big like some were reporting. This Bucs team, a lot like the last couple of Bucs teams, like the one that won the Super Bowl in 2020, like the one that fell short in the postseason against the Rams last year. They brought back most of their key pieces. They added some, including Julio Jones, who signed his one-year contract today. Let's go out to Tampa. Pete Prisco and Charles Davis standing by. We want your takeaways from Bucs camp today, fellas, and everybody wants to know, how did Brady look?
No, you want to take that one first?
How about this? Woo-wee!
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't look like he's going to be 45 years old. It's incredible, Chris. When you look at him, you threw a deep out, and the ball got on the receiver in a hurry. He hasn't lost any bit of the velocity on his football. You can tell he still commands the offense and commands the huddle. And, oh, by the way, he's also masquerading as the team general manager by getting guys to sign with the team. So it's still Tom Brady's team, and you can see it.
It's Tom Brady's world. We're all living in it, and rightly so. And not just the ability to throw the football. You can still see that the pocket awareness is going to be there. His ability to manipulate and move within it in order to be able to throw the football. Him turning 45 in a matter of weeks will not matter one bit. And since Pete already did it, I might as well do it myself. To quote Kevin Bacon, when he told Kevin Costner's character in JFK, "You're a right handsome man there, Mr. Brady."
and he's pretty much running the team, it seems like, right? I mean, you added Julio Jones. You added Kyle Rudolph. Is Brady the GM at this point? And is it just like him putting together the guys that he thinks will get them over the hump?
No, Jason Light's still the GM, and it's kind of we're doing a disservice to Jason Light by saying that, but there is definitely Brady input, and Tom Brady likes veteran players. He wants guys who are accountable. He wants guys who are going to show up and be in the spot where he wants them to be when he's throwing the football, and that's what you get. There's a lot of young receivers here. He wants a veteran receiver, which is why he reached out to Julio Jones. Julio said today he called him a couple different times. Said they weren't recruiting calls, but he called him a couple different times, and that's why Julio Jones is here.
Yeah, people, we know they weren't swapping training regimens or anything like that, and avocado ice cream recipes or what have you. So Rudolph falls in that category, a veteran he can depend on. Julio Jones falls in that category, another veteran that he's hoping has one more flash of glory. But how about Russell Gage, coming from Atlanta, that Tom Brady personally reached out and talked about? That's a guy that he's evaluating. He's not just recruiting. He's evaluated him like a GM, like a scout. He likes his game and thinks that he can help increase it, and Russell Gage can help him. So you name it, Tom Brady's doing it right now.
Some veteran receivers. They added Julio Jones yesterday. We still have a month to go until the season starts. What's their biggest hole right now, and is it possible that they can fill it before the season?
Well, look, there's a hole when you look at their pass rush, in large part because you don't know if they're going to be able to be the same team producing what they did. And they've been a good pass rushing team, in large part because they blitz. Right. They're an attack-style defense. That's what Todd Bowles wants to do. But are there guys that can put their hand on the ground? They could rely on Jason Pierre-Paul in certain situations. Now can they? Is Tryon Shoyinka still ready? Is he ready to take his game the next step? I think he is. And what is Shaq Barrett going to provide again on the other side? So I think pass rush is a question. I don't know if it's a hole, but it's a question right now.
And it is a good place to start. Akeem Hicks coming in, replacing Ndamukong Suh, but he gives you good pass rush on the inside. Don't forget they drafted Logan Hall in sub and nickel packages, can work inside over guards as well as come off the edge. But I'm with Pete. Tryon Shoyinka, that's a big key for this one to help out Shaq Barrett. The other place I'm going to go to has to be offensive guard, because Aaron Stinney's getting the start right now. Remember, Ali Marpet goes to the Pro Bowl and retires last year. But if Stinney can go in and plug that hole and give them what they want up front. Now, bottom line is, I think Pete has nailed it. We're not really talking about holes. We're just talking about spots that we're going to keep an eye on. I think this team is pretty well loaded.
Some would say that Leonard Fournette might maybe be able to plug that hole at offensive guard. He was big enough this offseason, but we just saw video of him. I mean, he doesn't look really any different than he's looked the last few seasons. What did you think of the way Fournette looked today, Pete?
Look, I was surprised. I thought he looked pretty good. I didn't see, the added weight that we heard about in the offseason. And let's be frank about it. There were pictures of him when he was training here. He looked really heavy. I heard that he got up over 260 pounds at one point, and he has to play in the low 240s, high 230s, and that's probably a really good weight for a physical back. But he looked fine to me today. He looked like he's lost some weight. He looked like he's ready to go.
Listen, if he plays at 230, 235 to 245, I think that's exactly what you're looking for. 10 out of the top 10 running backs in the league last year, 7 of the top 10 were 220 plus. Bigger backs versus smaller defenders seems to work. And based on the reports we got, Pete, I thought on water breaks he's going to go eat bonbons or something. He doesn't look like that. He looks like a big, strong, physical back. He may be around 250 or so, whatever it is, but he's not fighting Dunlop disease as I do each and every day when your stomach Dunlopped over your belt. He's doing just fine.
He's not Leonard Baguette anymore.
No, not at all. He's a big man. But I will say this, I certainly hope he doesn't get hurt in the first week of practice, because if he does, then all those stories will come cascading back, and that's something he nor the Bucs need.
Yeah, he had some fun with that on social media, but good to see that he looked good today. So we're wondering, how is it going to be different with Todd Bowles at the helm, replacing Bruce Arians, who goes into more of a front office role. So what have you seen today? I know, Pete, you talked with Todd Bowles earlier today on camera. How will it be different, if at all?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of difference. I think he's going to let Byron Leftwich run the offense, and he made it known that Byron was running the offense the last 2 years.
Anyway.
I mean, Todd put the hammer to that narrative. He said, look, Byron Leftwich was the offensive coordinator, was running the offense, so he will run the offense, and he will lean to running the defense. And, look, Todd Bowles knows defense. The toughest part for him will be getting himself acclimated to the offensive players. You know that when you spend a lot of time with one side of the ball and then you start meandering over to the other side of the ball, you have to win those guys over too, and I think that's going to be a tough challenge for him. I think Todd Bowles is the right guy for the job. He has the right kind of mental approach to it. He's a tough Jersey guy. He understands it, and he's going to be a good coach the second time around.
Yeah, and I don't think that'll be much of a problem for him, because the Todd Bowles that we both know already knew the offensive guys. Even if he wasn't spending a lot of time with them, he spent time with the entire team. He joked, he bantered, he competed with them, all of that. The second part of all this, too, is while Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady will run that offense, because Tom should have a lot of input with all of his experience, Todd Bowles will still run the entire game. It will still run through him. I like that he kept himself as defensive coordinator, didn't go out and hire someone else on short notice. This team, when healthy, will still be the Todd Bowles defense that we know. A lot of pressure packages, getting after the quarterback. What did he tell us? He's not going to keep anything in the whole. He's going to keep it all. He's not going to keep anything, under wraps. He's going to let it all out there to try and stop an offense. That's going to be the attacking Buccaneers we expect to see.
And they had a couple additions to the secondary as well. Logan Ryan, Keanu Neal. What stood out to you from them, Charles, and how this secondary might look this season?
Well, I think that this secondary has gotten extremely healthy, because remember, Jamel Dean was hurt last year. Sean Murphy-Bunting was hurt last year. Carlton Davis has solidified himself as a starter on the corner. Antoine Winfield's instincts, about as good as you get. He's Tyrann Mathieu light in that instance. You've got Mike Edwards back there. To me, those guys fill in where Logan Ryan will compete with Sean Murphy-Bunting for the nickel slot. If Murphy-Bunting is healthy, he should be the guy. But Ryan's experience helps. And Keanu Neal, back at safety where he belongs, but expect him to play in those nickel and sub packages, Pete, where he plays more like a nickel or a dime line.
There's also, they lost Jordan Whitehead, who's a good player. They lost him to the Jets, a free agent. He's a good football player. And, Ryan worked some today at safety, and he's played there before. Had a bad play today at safety. They threw over the top. He got caught in no man's land, and it ended up being a big play for Brady to Perriman. But I think the health is the concern there. You mentioned it. They got so banged up last year. They were playing guys in and out all the time. If they stay healthy, they'll be a good, productive secondary.
Yeah, Ryan's veteran leadership would be a big help for that if he can help them and be able to swing between corner, nickel, and safety. And Keanu Neal, big hitter, especially in those nickel and sub packages, and he can play that linebacker spot.
Well, they have to hit the ground running right in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Have you seen their schedule? They've got Dallas to start with. We know that. Then they go to New Orleans, a team they haven't been able to beat in the regular season with Tom Brady. Then they come home to face the Packers and Chiefs. What do you think of that brutal start to the schedule for a team that is favored to win the NFC, Pete?
It's brutal. You mentioned it. That is if they can navigate through that and at 3-1 or even 2-2, I think they'd be thrilled with that schedule. And yeah, they got some of those games are at home, but it's a tough schedule. And you look at it and you say, okay, that schedule was done with the idea that Tom Brady was back in the building. I mean, I don't think they have the same type of schedule if he's not back in the building. But if they can get through the early part of that schedule, I think they'll be a really good team. I think they're going to be a good team anyways. But if you can get through that at 3-1, 2-2, they'll be happy.
I agree with that totally. And I know we always talk about the NFL and how they keep a better equilibrium amongst guys because they know about the long season getting to the playoffs. But don't think that opening schedule, those first 4 games, did not have an impact on their offseason as well. Coaches use it, the players use it, got to hit the ground running, come out of the gate, had to have a big offseason to be ready to go. Plus, they believe they're as good as anyone in the league, and they see no reason why they can't navigate that schedule.
The good news is, though, they have 4 games against Carolina and Atlanta. That's the good news.
Yeah, weak division, a division that the Bucs should run away with. But the Saints, as Charles said, will have something to say about that with Michael Thomas back in tow at wide receiver. Guys, thank you so much covering the Bucs for us today in Tampa. Charles Davis and Pete Prisco as our training camp tour rolls on. The Bucs over-under win total is 11.5. And you saw the note on Tom Brady and the teams he's been on and the win totals the last 12 seasons. He has not gone under in any of those 12 seasons. 10-0-2 to the win total. Last season, they went over with 13 wins.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.